MOvember, day 17. And from tonight's video, we're going to talk about this book, Facing the Shadow. And the piece I've pulled tonight from Patrick Carnes' work is his Provisional Beliefs list. And he takes this from the success literature of Stephen Covey. And let me read you his introduction to this. In his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey talked about radical change. He pointed out that if your sole focus is on behaviour, you will only achieve modest change. Significant change, on the other hand, requires making an internal paradigm shift. In recovery, this means changing the basic beliefs that support the addictive system. This system includes all the personal perceptions that anchored the impaired thinking you learned about in Chapter 2. Now, yesterday on social media, I posted some old videos of the addictive cycle and the recovery cycle, and I'll get to those in this series. But he's talking about the core beliefs, the impaired thinking that leads to the preoccupation. Preoccupation in the cycle then drives the rituals drive the acting out drives the despair and shame cycle. That can feed back into fantasy, rituals, acting out, more shame. We can go around there for a while and then sometimes spin out into problems and unmanageability. And so what we're talking about here is to really break the depth of that cycle lived over a period of time. It takes this paradigm shift he's talking about. As in a computer system, you have to change the software to get a different result. You have to develop and install new programming. Even if you can name examples of first-order change and second-order change and clearly tell the difference, this is one that's where it's just focused on the behavior, and the other one is a deep belief structural change. You may be able to tell the difference between the two, and you may still not believe that true change is possible for you, or feel confident that you have any idea how to do it. Until you do believe such change is possible, you will need to adopt provisional beliefs. These are an act of trust held until your own recovery process takes over a bit more. Provisionally embracing the following truths will help you through the challenge that comes with starting change. They will help you as you begin to repair the damage caused by your addictive behaviours. Now, a lot of people that come into a recovery, you're devastated and you know your best ideas got you here. Now, some aren't, and that's a challenge because we think, well, look, I've sort of got this, need a few minor adjustments and I'll be okay. But for some of us, we got here and we knew we were insane. The fear was we were never going to be able to make it. So what Patrick's saying here is that in that interim time, until my own belief in me can start to accrue and that my own best thinking starts to be my best thinking again, then I might need to subscribe to another set of beliefs just to get going. And so this is where he comes in with 5 key areas that will help us to get this paradigm shift necessary for real change. The first one, for the time being, you may not be able to trust your own perceptions. You will have to trust the perceptions of others, even as mistaken or as unpleasant as you believe them to be. Now, if you've recovered from anything, if you've tried to give up coffee or fast on sugar, you'll know that it's one thing to have the idea to do something, but to actually do it, then man, it can feel, some of the advice you get feels mistaken and unpleasant. And so in early recovery, you got to get ready for this idea that I can't really trust my own thinking, and the thinking coming at me is going to be, it's going to feel like it's wrong. It's to use Patrick's word, mistaken and unpleasant. The next one, for the time being, you'll have to trust that you've been damaged far more than you know. Also, remember that time and recovery work can work wonders in repairing the damage and helping you become the person that you were meant to be. Sometimes in recovery, I show that scene out of the Monty Python movie, The Meaning of Life. Was it, the Holy Grail where they have the sword fight and the guy gets his arms and legs cut off and he's there as a bit of a bleeding stump on the ground. Still, John Cleese played that part, still yelling out, you're a chicken, come back, fight like a man. It's like, And I think sometimes an addict at the end of their addiction, where their life is completely unmanageable, they're living in chaos, but we still think we can bite you. We still think we're going to live through this. And I've heard it said in NA, if I can get this right in my dyslexic head, that we've got this disease. We think we're going to die and we'll still live on. It's a little bit crazy in here. So this is just reminding us that we've been damaged far more than we know, but we can recovery really does work wonders. The decade of the brain from the 2000s, the Deutsch books on the brain that heals itself, are incredible what we can do once we set our mind to it. But this piece of work here is about saying that my best thinking in the beginning of recovery mightn't be able to set my mind in that way. I might need to subscribe to something that I bring in before I can actually manifest it myself. The next one. It's got a couple of bits this. I'll try and press along as we go. For the time being, you must remember that addiction is a form of insanity in which you are deluded about reality. You need to believe that it is critical to pursue reality at all costs. The way out of this insanity is telling those who are helping you all that has happened. And this is where we get into a couple of tricky bits, right? Then they can support you in reclaiming reality. So the only way out of this insanity is to tell those who are helping you all that has happened, that then they can support you in reclaiming reality. And you must do this without minimizing awkward details. We cannot, and I wasn't going to put this graphic up, save our face and our ass at the same time. I've got to take a risk at some point and let someone into the awkward details of addiction. And if you're an addict, there's awkward details. It doesn't matter what your addiction is. We do it to the point that has shame attached to it, because we can't predict and control our use for any length of time. So we're the guys going to the bar and buying the next round, and we're taking shots at the bar. We're the overeater scoffing food or doing bin diving. We're the gambler that is stealing money from work to pay for our habit. We're doing things that people don't do. We're the alcoholic picking up our kids from school, and we're over the limit. So there's awkward details that we've got to start to take a risk and share, because that's the insanity. We're as sick as our secrets, and our best thinking got us here. So we've got to start to share awkward details. The next thing is, you must do this without minimizing or omitting awkward details. And you may not make private deals with the self. The way we can minimize awkward details is we think, well, I won't do it again, and I promise I'll make this private deal. I'll out myself then, or I'll tell my boss, or I'll do it. We just continue to delay these awkward details by making private deals with self. Anything less than full disclosure lowers the probability of recovery. Therapists can't tell an addict they're not going to, that they're going to use, because, as addicts, that's not the sort of powerless problem we've got. The powerless problem we've got is we can't predict, but we have got a lot of will issues that can work in our favor. And I've seen people stay sober just to spite you. And so we've got to watch out for that sort of sinister nature of addiction. So the thing here is, anything less than full disclosure lowers that probability of recovery. And in the AA first step, they talk about, unless we really truly surrender at this level, of real happiness, we're not going to find any. We might stay sober, but we're not going to be happy. And the last one is this: you must allow people to care for you. And we need to do this even if you do not feel as though you deserve anyone's love or care. You are important, valued, and appreciated in ways that are hard to accept right now, and this means that you must follow through on what's being asked of you, and that is to surrender control of your life to those who can care for you better than you can care for yourself at this time. And I know that's hard to believe. Putting yourself into treatment, giving yourself a place where you're really going to stay safe. Using these provisional beliefs, you are ready to create a new order of change in your life. You begin with a damage control plan, and the exercises in this chapter will guide you. Most people at this point face problems and challenges that resulted from their addictive behavior. Arrest, public shame, loss of career, severe relationship complications, a disease, for example. The list may seem endless. But recovery teaches that it is important to get the help and keep things simple. Break all these tasks into small components and tackle them one at a time, one day at a time. So I hope this has been helpful. If you've struggled in recovery, it might be that you've been doing it off this sort of first order change, this just focus on the behavior and not have that deep paradigm shift. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be gentle with your heart and take care.